Hello and welcome to this e-learning series on shipping hazardous materials from the United States to Canada. This series is presented by ICC, the Compliance Center. In this series, we will cover transportation of hazardous materials from the United States to Canada under the reciprocity provisions of the current editions of Canada's Transportation of Dangerous Goods Act and Regulations. We recommend that you have a good understanding of the Canada's Transportation of Dangerous Goods regulations before starting this program. At any time, you may stop or pause the program or go back to review material you wish to see again. You will need the current edition of both of the regulations, TDG and 49 CFR, to complete this training course. Also, it is a good idea to print out your handout for convenience of jotting down notes and completing the exercises. In this presentation, we will review the requirements for shipping dangerous goods, called hazardous materials in the United States, into Canada, and be trained in compliance with TDG and 49 CFR regulations. And by the end of the course, participants should be able to identify the different shipping requirements in Canada and prepare shipments which will be acceptable for a transborder shipment into Canada. Our e-learning series will cover the following topics. Again, it is required that you have access to both the Hazardous Materials Regulations and the Transportation of Dangerous Goods Regulations for reference as you complete this program. Topics include Introduction to TDG and 49 CFR, Classification and Identification, Packaging, Marking and Labeling, Shipping Papers, placarding, handling and emergency reporting, and Emergency Response Assistance Plans, or ERAPs. There will be quiz questions throughout the presentation. The quiz will be open book, so you will be allowed to refer to your reference materials from this series, as well as the TDG regulations and the Hazardous Materials regulations. Upon achieving an 80% or better on the quiz, you will receive your certificate of training. The general system for regulating transport of dangerous goods, or as they are called in the United States, hazardous materials, was created by the UN Committee on Transport of Dangerous Goods. This document is known as the UN Recommendations for Transportation of Dangerous Goods, sometimes known as the Orange Book because of its color. It establishes general standards for classification of dangerous goods, how to package dangerous goods, and how to communicate the hazards of dangerous goods using labels, placards, and shipping papers. Most regulations, such as Canada's Transportation of Dangerous Goods regulations and the Hazardous Materials regulations of 49 CFR, are based on this standard. However, each regulation has its own variations, which can interfere with shipping goods between countries or economic zones. In the United States, substances or articles that pose a hazard during transportation are called hazardous materials. The U.S. regulations on transport of hazardous materials are called the Hazardous Materials Regulations, or HMR. These are located in Title 49 of the Code of Federal Regulations, a larger set of regulations dealing with transportation issues. This is best known as 49 CFR. These regulations are created by the Pipelines and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA. They are an agency of the U.S. Department of Transportation, or DOT. The Hazardous Materials Regulations are also amended from time to time. The amendments appear in a document called the Federal Register.